So up next, our next speaker has never fit into a box. She's never conformed despite pressures all around her trying to get her to conform. So she's a black belt. We're going to welcome Sauleha Farooq, who's created an initiative where she works with girls to teach them self-defense, but more importantly, how to speak up for themselves. Please welcome Sauleha.
When I was young, my parents put me into lots of different extracurriculars so that I would be exposed to various sports and activities. One of the sports that I decided to pursue was gymnastics. I remember when I was 14 years old and I entered. It was the first day of a new session, and there was a new girl standing. And she stood and she stared at me. She'd look up at my hijab and then look at my face, and then back to the hijab. And then she'd look around to see if maybe she was in the wrong spot. After several weeks of this pattern, I realized I was the only one lucky enough to get her stare down. As the session progressed, she slowly started to warm up to me. Then one day, she walked up to me and asked if I'd go with her to the rec center. As shocked as I was, I assured her that I'd love to. But I had a question. What was it about me that had made her feel so uncomfortable? Why was she so alienated by me initially? Her response kind of changed my life. She looked at me and said, "Well, I just didn't think someone like you would do gymnastics. So what is it about me that makes it impossible for people to imagine that I do gymnastics?" Simple answer? This. When I talk to other people and I ask them, what are some of the first things you think of when you imagine a Muslim woman? Usually the first points of discussion are not, oh, someone who performs Shakespeare or a gymnastics coach. Instead, the first points of discussion are always imprisonment or oppression. This is how the logic kind of works. Since some Muslim girls are oppressed, all Muslim girls must be oppressed. Since some Muslim girls are uneducated, all Muslim girls must be uneducated. It's true that there are some girls who have either been restricted or have not had the opportunity to get an education. It's also true that there are some people who have been forced to wear a hijab. But that doesn't mean that we can take that label and apply it on the millions of women around the world and in Canada. Edwin Lamert was a sociologist in the 1950s who evolved a theory called the labeling theory. This theory said that self-identity is dependent or influenced on the stereotypes used to describe them. So in other words, once a stereotype is formed, once society has been structured into categories and labels, we ourselves try to fit those labels. That's not surprising, because when I talk to a lot of Muslim girls, they really struggle with separating what they actually can or can't do and what people think they can or can't do. So we have this dominating issue where we feel the need to organize the world into categories and labels, and then we are very surprised when someone doesn't fit into that. And then on top of that, when we create labels, people feel the need to fit into those labels. As one individual, I can't necessarily change all those scripts and boxes, but what I can do is try to break them. As a student of taekwondo since I was 5, my initiative is designed to help other girls gain strength, be able to defend themselves, and also acquire a strong connection between the body and the mind. My taekwondo teacher, Master Wilfred Ho, really stressed training hard physically, but he also stressed training hard mentally. I remember before I tested for my black belt, he came to me and said, "You think you're ready for the test?" To which the right answer was, yes, sir. Not because he wanted us to be arrogant, but because he wanted to make sure that mentally, we'd already passed that test. So my initiative is comprised of 2 parts. The first part is the training period, where we do different body weight exercises and drills to gain upper and lower body strength. And I'm also really trying to work to get rid of these preconceived notions that we've kind of learned. For example, we were doing a drill that involved push-ups. And so one of my students was in the middle, and she was doing all her push-ups. And then another student noticed that she had been doing those push-ups on her knees. So she looked up at me and said, ugh, she's doing girly push-ups. I have a question. If a girl does a push-up, is that not a girly push-up? Why is it that as soon as we associate something with weakness, we have to apply the label girly with it? The second part of my initiative is the part where we actually get into the fun stuff. So we learn different punches and kicks, and then we put them together into combinations. Sometimes at the end, we also have a little tournament where the girls get to practice their skills. So what's the result? Are they all black belts? No. But are they a lot stronger? Absolutely. And it's strength they're going to need for the rest of their lives. There have been numerous attacks on Muslim women who are visibly Muslim because of their hijab. In Canada, Islamophobic attacks have increased dramatically post 9/11. And it's not just that. There are other issues that they may face: poverty, sexism, and often a lack of opportunity both internally and from others who see them and judge their capabilities. But as I watch them progress, as I watch them get stronger, I'm really given a sense of hope. These are warriors like Nellie McClung, Catherine McKinnon, and other feminists who had to fight to break the conceptions we had of persons. My experience in attempting to break the boxes around me is that sometimes you just gotta punch your way out. It doesn't matter what someone thinks of you. It doesn't matter what box you might be placed in mentally. Because at the end of the day, we have to decide how we're going to shape our destiny. The girl from my gymnastics class and I became friends. And I realized afterwards that I didn't need to wait for her to invite me out. I could have extended the hand first. In the words of the American journalist Nora Ephron, above all, be the heroine in your life, not the victim. Thank you.